Yes, guys, it's Spud here, and welcome to episode 81 of the Roundup. I'm not feeling 100%, so there's going to be no webcam. I hope you can understand. Literally, all we've got in this episode is Champs predictions. That's it, it's another short one. Obviously, Champs special next week will be a long one, at least 45 minutes, most likely. Um, Probably closer to an hour, but obviously, it's going to be good. Champs special. Champs obviously starts tomorrow, Thursday. Um, and hopefully it'll be a good tournament. Now, obviously, um, I don't actually know what time the final is going to be on, but obviously they're going to have to make sure that Champs Grand Final starts after the World Cup final. Obviously, if England, who play Argentina tonight, get into the World Cup final, um, I'll most likely be out for it. So there is a potential, and at this moment in time, it's just a potential that I would miss Champs Grand Finals. If this was the case, I'd be very disappointed, obviously. Um, but if I miss Champs Grand Final, I'll try and watch it back without getting spoilers. Um, yeah, obviously it won't be the easiest, but we'll give it a go. Um, I'm looking forward to this tournament though. But like I said, today's episode is literally just grand final it's just champs predictions. There isn't any Rostermania news. Aluka's officially joined now. That's it. That's literally it. A quiet one on the Rostermania front. So this is our champs bracket. Obviously, it's held in Vegas. It is a phase event. So obviously, I know there was all that controversy about OpTic hosting champs in 2024. Then Ultra hosted it last year, and now FaZe are hosting it this year. So I think champs are just going to be hosted by a different team each year now. Fair enough, ultimately. Um, so we've got OpTic versus Heretics, Gentlemates, Koi, Thieves, Falcons, and FaZe G2. Obviously, with only being 8 teams, um, every team starts in the winners bracket. So, first of all, we've got OpTic versus Heretics. I think OpTic will comfortably beat Miami Heretics here. Obviously, Heretics haven't really had the best of seasons either. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with uh, I'm pretty happy with that choice there. OpTic obviously just won Major Four. They've they've only lost grand finals on LAN all year, and winners final against Thieves, I should actually say as well in Major Four. But that might have been the blessing in disguise. I'll go with a 3 or OpTic. I think they'll come out fit and fire. And obviously, the last couple of years, OpTic have been in bad form going into champs and have won. So this is a bit of a different territory for them. Obviously, OpTic are the only organisation to have won 3 World Championships. They're also in Call of Duty. They're also the only organisation to ever go back to back. 3 in a row would be absolutely bonkers. It will be difficult, of course, but we'll see what happens. Gentlemates versus Koi would have been a crazy game if Joe Deceives was still on Koi, but he's not. And I do think that Koi will have very little to fight mate with here. So I'm gonna go with Gentlemates to beat Koi. Koi go play Miami in the Spanish derby. I know, like Spanish org derby. I know it's obviously Toronto, Koi, and Miami Heretics, but they are Spanish orgs. And then we have Thieves versus Falcons. To be honest with you, with how like Falcons roster mania, I don't know what they're doing honestly. Quick 3-0 for Thieves. Nice little warm-up game in Vegas for them. Then we have the Horse FaZe versus G2. I actually think this will be a good series. I'll go 3-1, but like a close 3-1 to FaZe, which would give us OpTic versus Gentlemates and Thieves versus FaZe in winners round two. Two really good matchups in my opinion. Um, Heretics versus Koi. So loser goes home top 8. The Heretics haven't had the best of seasons, but I've just got this little sneaky feeling that Real might have himself a series here to short, like, because obviously he was on Koi at the start of the season. There was all that Rostermania drama with him choosing Koi over Heretics. I think Heretics are going to beat Koi, which in my opinion, even though Koi draw deceiveless, I still think this would be a surprise result personally. I'm gonna go with a game 5. I don't know actually about game 5. I'll just go Heretics to win. Koi go home. G2 versus Falcons. I think it'll be a close-ish series, but with honestly, I can't see Falcons winning. I'm never predicting them top 3 in an event ever again, by the way. That was a dreadful prediction. I think they'll finish top 8 here and go home joint last with Koi. By the way, I would rather Koi beat Heretics. It's just my obviously prediction that I wanted to have a couple of different predictions than just what I'd normally go for. Um, so then we're gonna do well, we have to do the winners round 2 games next. So we've got OpTic versus Gentlemates. Obviously, they played each other at Major 4 in Paris. There was obviously that ridiculous map 1 with OpTic just beating the Gentlemates, and then the momentum just shifted OpTic's way ever since, for the rest of that series, sorry. Um, I'm gonna go with OpTic 3-1, which will obviously send Gentlemates down to the loser bracket. Thieves versus FaZe. This is tough because obviously FaZe have got that home crowd. Well, do they though? I mean, obviously you're gonna have like the FaZe boy, like the FaZe esports, like people like Ksan and Zoom are obviously gonna get loud and try and rile up the crowd. But I do think the crowd will be majority OpTic, if I'm being honest. Um, I am gonna go 3-2 to the Thieves. I think Thieves will clutch it in a game 5. Heartbreak for FaZe. Because obviously FaZe haven't had the best of years except winning Major 2, they've not had the best of the year really. Obviously I know they lost Celium and Abizi and brought in Orpho and Abuza, but obviously this is a tournament that they could, if they win champs, they've had an incredible year. That's what champs can do. I mean, I said OpTic had a poor year because they hadn't won anything, even though they'd been really good. But now that they obviously won Major 4, they've had a good year. But it would be a better year if they won champs. It'd be another incredible achievement. We've then got FaZe versus Heretics. I think this will be a comfortable one for FaZe. I've got them winning Heretics top 6. They've not had the best of season, Heretics. A top 6 placing at champs wouldn't be great, but wouldn't be terrible either. I think they've struggled on this game, the Heretics roster, especially Metals, compared to um, Black Ops 6. Because it's Black Ops 7, isn't it? So yeah, Black Ops 6. Sorry. G2 versus Gentlemates. Now, obviously, I haven't gone for many shocks so far in my bracket. This would be the first one. I have got G2 actually sending Gentlemates home. Envoy sending his old team home, Estrel being sent home by his old team, Neptune watching from the bench. I've got G2 eliminating Gentlemates here. I think G2 are the underdog of this tournament. I think they've got a good roster. You know, I said it, I think CHAMPS improved a lot in the league this year. Um, and I think that um, I think CHAMPS improved a lot this year. I think Sky just had better series this year. Obviously, Envoy is still a decent player. Nasty's a good player. If a team is going to go on a run that is not one of the big four, it's going to be G2. Then we'd have FaZe versus G2, obviously because of the scheduling. So you're going to have games on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. After Saturday's last match will be losers final, and then it is just the grand final, best of 9, which is on at the same time as the World Cup, which is just ridiculous, ridiculous from the COD League to do that. Like I said, if England are in the final, I'm gonna be out. I'm like 95% certain I'll miss most of champs grand finals. I won't miss the whole thing, but I'll miss most of it, which would be very disappointing. FaZe versus G2. I think FaZe will just have a bit too much, but top 4 for G2 would be a decent achievement in my opinion. And obviously they will have EWC to try and um they'll also have EWC to try and like build on that, see what they can end the season with. Obviously some decent money for the players. Top 4 champs should be decent. Who's gonna play? Who's gonna play FaZe in that losers final for a spot in the grand final? Well, they obviously this is going to be similar to the Major 4 bracket in terms of OpTic Thieves winners final. In my opinion, comfortably the best 2 teams in the game at the moment. And I have got a repeat of Thieves beating OpTic in winners final. Um, I think it will be 3-1 Thieves. Um, Obviously it'll be a good series. We know how good both these teams are. I do think that the S&D is important. Obviously OpTic, the S&D and the Overlord. Obviously OpTic did win an Overlord, but they should have won both, but crumbled in both of them. But thankfully they won the game 6-1, which took them to a game 7, and they were fantastic. For me, it's that Overlord. If OpTic can win the Overlord, they could beat Thieves in a best of 5. Um, However, it will be a rematch of Major 4 Grand Finals. I have got Thieves beating OpTic. A top 3 for FaZe. They'll be disappointed because they want to win a ring, especially at the home event, but I am going to go with the Thieves OpTic Grand Final. What I will say is, obviously, because it's played on the same day, it's played on a different day as to losers finals. So every team, so both there is no advantage. Obviously, the only advantage for there's no like disadvantage cheese for the loser run. All I will say is obviously vetoes. You get to ban first. You get to ban the control map, the overload map you don't want, stuff like that. So there is obviously still some pros to being in the to obviously winning winners final. You know, it's a lot better than obviously because people have been saying that, oh, should we change the format in for grand finals? Well, this is the only year where it's really been a problem. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's not feeling good. So my champs winner, if it's any of the, if either of these teams win it, fully deserved across the year. And like well done to them. It's an incredible achievement. Obviously, if we look at the Thieves roster, it's Nwim's rookie year. He'd get his first ring. Scrap would get a ring, which I think for a player of his caliber, how good he's been since entering the league in Modern Warfare 2, it's deserved. Um, Obviously, he's a grand finalist at Champs with that historic 5-0 loss to Subliners. Hydra, who was on that Subliners roster, would get his second ring. And Abizi would get his third ring? I want to say third ring. Um, I'm pretty sure it's third. Yeah, it would be his third because he obviously won with Fairs in 2021 and E United, which I knew I didn't know if there was a third one, but yeah, he'd be a three-time champion. OpTic side, obviously, same roster as last year. So Mercules in only his second year and his first full year in the Call of Duty League would be a two-time champion. Dashi would be a three-time champion. Shotzi would be a four-time champion. And Hugh would be a three-time champion. So obviously they'd be stacked. Shotzi would be the second, would have the second most championships out of a player ever behind as a player. So I'm not including Coach Karma here with his 2 rings as a coach and 3 as a player. But obviously Crimsix has 5, so he'd be second behind Crimsix. And I think if OpTic were to win champs, the legacies of they're already strong. The legacies of like especially Dashi now and Shotzi, but Dashi especially because he was like, oh, he was always this good player, but he never won anything. If he was to become a three-time champion, my word. All of this I've been talking about, I still have actually gone for Thieves. Yeah, obviously I would never predict OpTic to win champs because I think if I did that, they wouldn't do very well. Both other years that I've done the roundup for champs predictions, I've always predicted OpTic like top 6, but I've got them finishing second again. Thieves will be your champions, just in my opinion. Obviously, just my bracket. I think it could be either Thieves or OpTic. If any other team wins champs, by the way, I would class it as a shock. Even Gentlemates and Fairs, I would genuinely class it as a shock result. But then again, OpTic winning the last 2 champs were shock results, especially like 2 years ago, they were good except Major 4. But last year they were dreadful. They went 0-18 in 6 series, and then they won champs, like, and DWC. That's my bracket though, in full. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Roundup, just a short one. Obviously, next episode will be our champ special, and then we go ready for EWC, and then after that we have a bit of a break, which is nice. And we'll get ready for the 2027 season. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy champs as well. Um, like the video if you enjoy. Comment down below who you think is going to win champs, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you.